few updates, and I think I'll have us move towards Blackboard when we're ready. Next thing we're going to do is take a look at our project materials. There's a new section in Blackboard now called Project. There's a lot of information in there. So I recommend going over to that and taking a look at the final project options. Okay, and then I'll say a few words about this so you know kind of what to think about as you're filling out the project questionnaire. So that's one task for today. I added a new unit to our class materials area called Unit 6, Open Source Continued, and this week is going to be the R bootcamp. And you can see some of the next two units that are grayed out here. After we finish up at this R bootcamp, we're going to move into a section that will actually be 3 total units, all about model evaluation and performance improvement. Okay? So we've been doing, we'll continue doing what we've done, where we read a chapter from the textbook. We kind of unpack that information together when we come to class on our Mondays. So this is after this week. And then what we've been doing is using our second class to look at a case, right? We're going to continue doing that as we go forward. So you'll see some of the same cases repeated, but with additional materials relating to the topics of model evaluation. So basically, we've gone through how to build a few models. We've looked at several classification models, and we looked at some really basic metrics for how we can evaluate those models and how well they're doing. But we're going to get even further into that. So we'll look at we'll look a little bit more at linear regression analysis. We'll revisit the classification algorithms and look at more and more ways to see how those models are doing and check whether we've met all the necessary assumptions. And then we'll add some techniques for improving models. And what a lot of data scientists do is they'll use the techniques to improve a model. They also might try multiple different models, 3 or 4 different types of models to see which one is doing best. And we've seen just a glimpse of that in our early cases where we looked at employee attrition with the tree induction and then again with the logistic regression. So we'll be revisiting that idea and adding some what are called ensemble methods, where we have different ways of well, we'll get into that, but ensemble methods use things like random forest, which is an extension of tree induction. So that's the main topic that's remaining, model evaluation and performance improvement. And we will mostly be using Python going forward, but we're adding a little bit of R. Okay. So why are we doing R? So in this class, we tend to rely on Python primarily, but we saw a little bit with Tableau, and we're going to see a little bit with R. So as you become more sophisticated and advanced as a data scientist, you'll start to have preferences for what tasks you do with what software, and you can almost, so why do we emphasize Python? You can almost do everything with Python. You can do everything with Python. But there are cases where you may want to use Tableau for a visualization, for example. Or there may be some cases where you want to pre-process your data in R and then export it as a CSV file and bring it into Python and do the rest of the analysis there. So there are a lot of different options, and your choice for how you proceed with your analysis is going to depend on, one, your comfort level with the different tools, right? You may prefer to use one for specific, maybe you want to use R for pre-processing or something like that. You do all those steps, get the data set just the way you want it, and then bring it into a Python program. Or you use Tableau for visualization. There's really nothing else you use Tableau for. Tableau isn't great for data manipulation, for example. Okay. So that might be your preference, or you might just start to know which tools work better for which tasks. So those are going to be factors going forward. And I think it's rare that a data scientist uses one tool exclusively, although if you were to choose one tool to use, it would be Python. Because Python is known in the industry as the best or second best tool for any task, any analytics task you want to do. Even beyond analytics tasks, it can be used for web development too, which is pretty amazing. So this week is going to feel kind of like we're stepping away from the general topics of data science, but it's really a chance for us to do two things: to see a little bit of R, build a foundation, and also to get ourselves organized and ready to do our final project. So that is our plan this week. I'll give you an announcement. I'll start releasing some of the later units with which chapters we're going to do. It's in the syllabus, but I'm going to have that information ready for you early this week. So any questions? Let me see if I have anything that came up in our discussion that anyone is wondering about with this class. So if you didn't already, we do have something you want to know, something you want me to address today, I can talk about that. Yeah, really, thank you, Anne-Marie, for bringing up these things. This is really well articulated. And let me just say a few words about this. So I think in general it's tough. We have a lot of midterms happening right now, and you're pulled in a lot of directions. And you're probably feeling like we've covered some concepts, we've covered some skills, and then wondering, well, how are we going to put it all together in a final project? So let me go over to that, well, with keeping those considerations in mind. I really appreciate that comment. So with